Well, let's talk to Gideon Falter, who is chairman of the Campaign Against Anti-Semitism. Gideon, very good evening to you. We've spoken often on this issue. Can you at least give the Labour Party some credit tonight for actually doing something quite quickly, taking action quite quickly?
Good evening. Well, there's two views on that, because I think that it's very hard to actually credit them with doing anything very fast at all. If you look at their reaction today, Chris Williamson is exposed in this appalling video making these appalling comments, but they're not unusual comments for him. This is Chris Williamson, who has said that accusations of anti-Semitism in the Labour Party are proxy wars and BS. He says that anti-Semitism is being weaponised, and he befriends people like Jackie Walker and Mark Wadsworth. Mark Wadsworth obviously was expelled for the Labour Party over his conduct towards Luciana Berger. Jackie Walker, we've already heard the comments that she's made. And you look at this and you think, well, why is it that this is only a surprise now when he's been saying this for years? And when you look at the actual chain of events today, they didn't straight off say, we're going to suspend you, Chris. They said, we're going to investigate you and we're not actually going to suspend you during that. On the way into Jeremy Corbyn's office to receive that message, Michael Crick from ITV actually witnessed Chris Williamson receiving an absolutely massive bear hug of what would I imagine be sympathy or encouragement from the Labour Party chairman. So this morning they seem to think, don't worry, Chris, we'll take care of this in the least forceful manner we can. And by this afternoon, it was clear that some of the Labour MPs who had decided to stay inside the party were really not keen on having this, and they were making such a noise that they've now had to suspend him. Now, I'm not sure that it's very easy to credit Labour with that, because they've just acted when they got caught.
OK, but they couldn't have really acted a lot more quickly, could they? I mean, we're talking about a matter of hours here.
When this news broke, they could have suspended him immediately instead of trying to let him off with a slap on the wrist. But I think more importantly is to look at the picture before today. And if you look at, for example, Chris Williamson booking a room in Parliament in order to show a film praising Jackie Walker, who said that the Jews were the chief financiers of the slave trade, and you look at the fact that Chris Williamson's actually been touring the country on, I think, what he calls the Democracy Now! Tour or something like that, going and speaking in constituencies far beyond his own, all over the country, praising Jackie Walker, saying that she needs to clear her name, saying that Mark Wadsworth was unjustly expelled from the party, constantly befriending and defending people who've been thrown out of the party or are on suspension from the party over their conduct towards Jews. You have to look at this and you just say, the only reason Labour's acted at all today is because their MPs made such a noise and because some of their MPs have left. Had that not happened, we probably would have just been seeing another day in the life of Chris Williamson where he goes around the country baiting Jews.
Gideon, I need your help, or John in Loch Lomond needs your help. He says, Iain, am I an anti-Semite if I disagree with Israeli settlements in the West Bank? I'm genuinely confused. Can you help him, Gideon?
No, and look, some people do get genuinely confused by this, and it's really simple. Look up the international definition of anti-Semitism. It's at antisemitism.uk/definition, and in there is a sentence which says, criticism of Israel, similar to that levelled against any other country, cannot be considered anti-Semitic. So if you have a disagreement with some aspect of Israeli policy, that doesn't make you an anti-Semite. If, on the other hand, you start saying that Israelis are Nazis or that Israelis are harvesting the bodily organs of non-Jews and start to basically use Israel as a lightning conductor for your hatred of Jews, that's obviously a problem. But if you just want to have a sensible political debate, no, that doesn't make you anti-Semitic any more than it would make you anti-Semitic if you criticise the policies of this government.
Is there anything,
the British government.
Is there anything that Jeremy Corbyn and the Labour Party can do to rescue his and its reputation with the British Jewish community?
You know, I've struggled with this for a long time because I look at Jeremy Corbyn and I look at his conduct over the course of years. And at first, I wanted to believe that this was a phenomenally unlucky anti-racist, a phenomenally incompetent man who just could not understand what he was surrounded by and what he was confronted with. But when I look at his conduct over the years, and see the things that he has done and the number of times he has done them, I'm convinced that he himself is an anti-Semite. And I think most people in the Jewish community are convinced of that as well.
Which he denies, obviously.
I'm sorry?
He denies that.
He absolutely denies that. But when you look if you look, for example, to just give one example of what he did in 2010 on Holocaust Memorial Day, he booked a room in Parliament in order to hear a speaker who said, and I quote, "The Nazis successfully Nazified the consciousness of their victims," as in Jews became the successors to the Nazis. And Jeremy Corbyn, when he heard that, his reaction was to throw out some anti-racist protesters who stood up and started remonstrating with the speaker. He asked the police to remove them so that the speaker could continue. That's the kind of man we're dealing with. And so I don't think that you can ask somebody who is an anti-Semite to rid his party of anti-Semitism. It's very clear that Labour has become institutionally anti-Semitic. It's not just me saying it, it's Labour MPs saying it. And at their head is Jeremy Corbyn, who seems absolutely determined to do as little as possible.
Gideon, thank you very much. That's Gideon Falter there from the Campaign Against Anti-Semitism.